Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. How powerful exactly are the big pharmaceutical companies in this country? Consider the news that did not break today. The pro-transparency news organization, Project Veritas, just released an undercover video of a Pfizer executive bragging on camera about how his company conducts a kind of Frankenstein science, manipulating COVID viruses for profit, imperiling potentially the entire world, doing it in secret, possibly in violation of federal law, bragging about this. And you would think every reporter in this country would be itching to follow up on it, calling Pfizer, telling the public about it. But no, that's not happening. In the 24 hours since Project Veritas posted this footage, it has been viewed more than 12 million times on Twitter. No other media outlet has covered the story at all. MSNBC and CNN, which perhaps not coincidentally take huge amounts of advertising dollars from Pfizer, those two channels have devoted a total of 0 seconds to the story. Well, just go online and find out about it. Well, Google, the biggest search engine in the world, which has a monopoly on search in this country, appears to have gone out of its way to make it much more difficult for users to learn anything about the Pfizer executive pictured in the footage. And so there is, in other words, on television and in most places online, a near total media blackout of this story. How powerful is Big Pharma? That powerful. Now, that footage shows a Pfizer executive called Jordan Tristan Walker. He is, according to the documents Project Veritas posted, Pfizer's, quote, Director of Research and Development for Strategic Operations and mRNA Scientific Planning. He's just 2 reports removed from the CEO of Pfizer, Albert Bourla. His name is Jordan Walker once again. Here he is.
You know how the virus keeps mutating?
Yeah.
Well, one of the things we're exploring is like, why don't we just mutate it ourselves so we could create unfairly develop new vaccines, right? So we have to do that. If we're going to do that, though, there's a risk of, like, as you could imagine, no one wants to be having a pharma company mutating viruses.
Pfizer's thinking about mutating COVID? We're not going to say it to the public. We're quoting, one of the things we're exploring is, why don't we just mutate it ourselves so we can preemptively develop new vaccines? Now, what does that sound like? Does that sound familiar? Well, it sounds a lot like the gain of function research you read about, the research that was occurring at the Wuhan lab just before COVID broke out of the lab and overturned the world and wrecked the U.S. economy. That was the research that Tony Fauci lied about under oath. Well, in the clip you just saw, the Pfizer executive is careful to say it's not happening right now, but it is something that Pfizer is secretly considering, without telling the public. But in another undercover video, also shot by Project Veritas, Walker suggests that research to mutate viruses is ongoing.
Sounds like gain of function to me.
I don't know, it's a little bit different. I think it's different. It's like, it's definitely not gain of function.
Sounds like it is. I mean, it's okay.
No, directed evolution is very different.
Direct evolution?
Directed evolution.
It's not gain of function. Oh, no, it's directed evolution. So if you're wondering how Tony Fauci was allowed to lie under oath and get away with it, the FBI did not raid his house. He was never handcuffed. Maybe it's because he used a different term for the same thing. At Pfizer, apparently, they're just calling it directed evolution.
Well, they're still kind of conducting the experiments on it, but it seems like from what I've heard, they're kind of optimizing it, but it's going slow because everyone's very cautious. Like,
right.
Obviously, don't want to kind of accelerate it too much.
Yeah.
But I think they're also just trying to do it as an exploratory thing because you obviously don't want to advertise that you're trying to figure out future mutation.
Yeah, you do. They're still kind of conducting experiments on it. You just don't want to advertise that you're figuring out future mutations. And by the way, that's why gain of function research was banned until 2017 when Tony Fauci helped restart it. And the result was, of course, COVID. So Walker, in this tape, made it very clear that Pfizer is worried about a repeat of the COVID lab leak.
You have to be very controlled to make sure that this virus that you mutate doesn't create something it goes everywhere.
Something crazy.
I suspect is the way that the virus started in Wuhan. To be honest, it makes no sense that this virus popped out of nowhere.
And of course, the point is to make money.
I mean, either way, it's going to be a cash cow. COVID will probably be a cash cow for us for a while going forward.
Walker's thought this through. This is not just off the top of his head. He's not stupid. And he's clearly thought through the potential consequences of this research. But he also is honest enough to admit that COVID's been a cash cow for us. Why aren't they regulating a company like Pfizer? Could it be that regulatory capture is real? We don't have to guess anymore because Jordan Walker explains it for us.
It's a revolving door for all government officials.
Wow.
Yeah, for any industry though. So like in the pharma industry, all the government officials who review our drugs, most they come work for pharma companies.
You work for Pfizer. My question for you is, why does Pfizer want to hide from the public the fact that they're mutating the COVID viruses?
Is this real life? I'm literally a liar. I was trying to impress a person on a date by lying. This is absurd.
Please don't touch me. Well, this is not. By the way,
Why are you doing
don't
this?
tell anybody.
This is someone who's just working at a company to literally help the public.
So that was the end of it. James O'Keefe of Project Veritas shows up and informs Walker he's been recorded, and he's clearly upset, and of course you can understand why. He's shocked. He didn't know anyone was filming. Someone was. But what's so interesting is his first excuse is, I was lying. When in fact, he has explained in a very sophisticated and very believable way how Washington works. And no executive at a pharma company has ever been filmed saying that on camera before. And then the situation begins to degrade.
Please unlock the door.
Why is
Give us stuff. Please unlock. Please unlock the door. Please unlock the door. 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 This is remarkable here. Thank you. Thank you. We're trying to unlock the door. Unlock the door. Unlock the door. Unlock the door.
What was that? This guy's a pretty high-level Pfizer executive confirming a lot of things you already suspected and telling you things you had no idea were going on. So of course you'd want to know, what? Was that real? And what does Pfizer have to say about it? Well, no one else is calling Pfizer, so we did. We didn't have complex questions, very simple ones. We called and emailed Pfizer all day. But despite their famously well-funded PR department, all the lobbying money they spend, they did not get back to us. They refused to answer. So we contacted instead Dr. Robert Malone. From what you saw in that tape, does it sound like Pfizer is conducting or contemplating conducting research that is effectively like gain of function? Well, how is that allowed?
Precisely. So the biowarfare treaty is like a cheesecloth that's so leaky. And Pfizer is a global company that's quite clear with massive resources, the ability to conduct research in virtually any region. They have the ability with their money and power, as you've seen, to define the rules and construct their own reality. In fact, this is the second time that Veritas has caught somebody saying this. They caught an employee at BARDA basically saying the same thing, as I recall previously.
It's completely corrupt. That is corrupt. Dr. Robert Malone, thank you so much for your perspective.